Hi, I'm Kate Ward, and this is your Dickman Farms Smart Gardening Tip. And I'm in the garden today. And we've talked a little bit about invasive weeds before and what we could, pull them out, get rid of them. But what invasive are we exactly talking about? Invasive might refer to something that is doing what this ground cover is doing. It is invading the lawn. So it is being invasive. It is going beyond where it is supposed to go. Now that said, there are plants that are on the New York State invasive species list. That means that those kids show up everywhere. They're not supposed to go either, but they're not always cultivated varieties. So what happens, or what should you do when something escapes its boundaries in the garden of what it's supposed to be doing? Well, there's a couple things that you can do, and I get questions about it. So we have a couple of things here. Say we want to keep this chameleon plant. Well, it's doing a great job of covering ground. It looks beautiful, pretty colors, it gets a little white flower, but it's wandering off, and there's other things that don't belong in here with it. So one of those things is this grass. Well, how do I take care of that grass? Well, this is where we use this thing. You can find it anywhere. It's called elbow grease. Yes, and we do things like this. Ta-da! And we get it, and you see the long runner, and then we can take, and we could compost something like this. It would be okay. If you have pickup, you could also throw it out that way. I'm a fan of composting. We have other things in this garden that are just as easy to pull, kind of. Like this guy. This is a thistle that has happily, gotten in here. And we could pull it out. Now, what I don't have on my hands, they're nice and dirty, are gloves. This is a great example of why you'd use gloves, because it's a thistle and it's got little thorns on the end that I don't want to grab a hold of. So this is a great example of using gloves. Now, besides from that, just a couple pulling. What happens when I have this type of plant and it starts doing this, where it's invading the lawn? Well, here's a quick lesson. This is kind of cool, because this kind of plant has that big leaf, and these kind of plants here, this grass, has that blade, okay? So we have two different kinds of plants, which is useful for us, because once it gets over here, I can use products like these. This is Weed Beater Ultra, and there's a chickweed clover oxalis killer. Clover is this guy in the lawn right here, right there. Oops, there it goes. That's clover. These will take those out because of the type of plant they are and not mess with the grass. So the grass is going to be just fine. We can spray, and we'll get rid of this where it's not supposed to be, and the grass will be just fine. Now, say we were done with this, we could use some elbow grease, or we don't want this anymore, we could use Control to help us. Or if you have a weed that's just out over open ground, say I didn't want something like this, you could use these types. There's burn out and clean up. So clean up is going to kill everything. And so is burnout. Burnout works a slightly bit differently though. You're going to reapply it a couple of times because it's a lot with natural products. So citric acid is one of the main ingredients in this product. So you have to spray it. It burns the top off. It'll push up again. You spray it again. It's a natural way to go. You get rid of the resources for the plant. So those are some of the two. Now what happens if I have a lot of this mixing with a lot of this and I want to keep them both? Is there something that's just going to take out that other weed for us? Well, here's where we're back to elbow grease. There isn't really a chemical or product or natural thing out there that can tell the difference that way between two of the same type of plants. So these are both broadleaf plants, and I don't have a chemical that can tell the difference between this and this and this, or even this for that matter. So we're gonna have to employ that elbow grease in that situation. So I hope this has been helpful. If you're not quite clear, or even if you are, come on in and see us. And don't forget the other thing that's always useful when weeding are knee pads. So then you don't have dirty hands and dirty legs. All right, talk to you soon. Thank you.